I want to talk to you about Greenways, which I believe are a success story and have the potential to be an even greater success story. Is a success story. We have a lot of tourists coming to Ireland. However, they continue to come to this. They continue to concentrate in exactly the same places as they did in Victorian times. Effectively, there are various campaigns, the Irish Hidden Heartlands, etc., to try to disperse tourists, to get them to look at other areas with some degree of success. However, I believe that Greenways have a huge potential to disperse people across the country, to develop a new type of tourism. I see Minister Butler here. Obviously, Waterford is a success story. There are others. Waterways Ireland have developed a greenway that goes from Dublin to Athlone, and that greenway will continue on from Athlone to Galway. It dips south through Portumna, Woodford, Gort, Kinvara, across the Slieve Mountains. But there's one in particular that I want to focus on. I know it's one that you're aware of. Owen O'Hagan of East Clare Tourism will previously have brought it to your attention, and that's the Limerick Scariff Greenway, going along the banks of the oldest canal in the country, the Erna Canal, and from there skirting to Partine Weir, effectively, and from there skirting the Shannon up to Scariff. It's really exciting in and of itself because it's an area that really needs an injection of tourism, because there was a lot of tourists in East Clare when I was growing up. There are less so now, and the imbalance between the certain like places like Lahinch, Kilkee, Spanish Point, and I celebrate their success, but we need to maintain a balance, and we need to continue to grow tourism in other parts of the country too, and I believe this has the capability to do that, not only in and of itself, but also because, as I mentioned, the Athlone to Galway Greenway will dip south through the Slieve, which means it goes through effectively the parish of Scariff, Lochatorig. It's 11 kilometres from the village of Scariff. So there's an obvious potential to link them up, which would mean that one could walk or cycle along a greenway from Dublin to Kerry via East Clare, or from Galway Bay to Kerry via East Clare. Now that is hugely exciting, but there is a pinch point, and it's O'Brien's Bridge. Ironic really, because it's a village that was effectively bypassed by the Shannon scheme, a beautiful village, but one that needs investment, that needs tourists coming into it, as it would have had historically. And that pinch point is the ESB and Partine Weir, which is a fantastic project, one I saw as recently as this morning, actually, and I think it's something that tourists would flock to. Now, the ESB say that they can't have tourists and they can't have a greenway going along their embankment. That may be the case. They may have legitimate concerns. But, Taoiseach, if the civil engineering capability existed 100 years ago to harness the Shannon, the civil engineering capability exists now to overcome this minor point. And I'm asking you to make sure that Waterways Ireland and ESB work constructively together to overcome this, to ensure that there isn't an obstacle to what is a hugely exciting project for East Clare and beyond.
I just want to thank Deputy McNamara for raising the issue of the Limerick to Scariff Greenway. I am aware of the project. I think it's a very exciting one, and I'm a big fan of greenways, both as a local active amenity for people who live in the area, but as well as something that can be very attractive for tourists too, and very much speaks to the government's current strategy of trying to get longer stay tourists to come into the country for more sustainable breaks. The project is a phase 2 where technical advisors are examining options for a preferred route and undertaking extensive stakeholder engagement. Proposals to allow the ESB lands, or rather use of the ESB lands for the Greenway, are currently being considered by ESB, and further meetings are envisaged. Thereafter, and subject to agreement with ESB, it's proposed to finalise the route options, and a preferred route consultation is expected after the summer. 70,000 has been allocated to the project so far, and then a further 780,000, in 2023. Waterways Ireland with Clare County Council, Limerick City and County Councils are currently engaged in the phase 2 option selection process. All reasonable, feasible route corridors will be examined, and their costs and benefits and effects on the environment will be interrogated to identify a preferred option. If approved, the project will then progress to phase 3, which is design and environmental evaluation, and that includes assessment of the routes through the ESB lands between Clonlara and O'Brien's Bridge. And all relevant stakeholders are working together on a collaborative basis to identify the best route, and are confident that a solution can be found in the near future.
Of this with regard to dispersing tourists. Obviously, that's why I've continually pressed the issue of the Shannon Heritage sites. I understand a deal is now imminent, and I'd like to express my thanks to you, Minister O'Brien, and I see Minister Martin there, and all who've contributed to that deal. I think it is indeed good news, because we do need to make sure that tourism is dispersed, and that's part of Clare County Council's strategy to do so. Clare County Council are also developing the West Clare Railway. It's progressing well. It's moving to design stage, and the Kilkee to Kilrush leg will be the first one to be constructed and opened. But I want to go back to this Greenway, because yes, ESB are engaging with Waterways Ireland. Waterways Ireland have a really good track record for a very new body, in fact, only about 20 years old, in what they've done. And they've done all of it without CPOing a single centimetre of land. I think that's a huge achievement. ESB want them to go elsewhere and CPO land. That's not the Waterways Ireland approach. It is the ESB approach. They love CPOing land, and they're quite good at litigation. It's not the Waterways Ireland approach. They do need to work more collaboratively. I acknowledge ESB's goodwill towards this, but they do need to work harder in this, and I'm asking you to make sure that your office brings that collaboration about, Taoiseach.
Thanks, Deputy, and look, I hear what you're saying, and I know you're a strong advocate for this project. I don't know enough about the engineering pros and cons of this, but I'll certainly make sure. And I'd be happy to visit too. but in the meantime, I'll certainly speak to Minister Ryan about it, and the ESB as well. And I can't tell them what to do or not do in engineering terms, but I'll certainly ask them to look at it in a favourable way if that's possible.